tracking storms here across Utah along the Wasatch Front tonight. Areas of strong winds and heavy rainfall. Where we'll see some flooding concerns into tomorrow and what you can expect for the weekend.
A Utah family is hoping for closure.
She is the last of that side of my family.
After the murder of this 99-year-old woman, they just need help to find her.
I just felt defeated.
Pieces of equipment critical for saving lives stolen from a search and rescue volunteer.
That's not personal gear that I use on my own. It's to help other people. Now I've got to replace it.
If you own property in Utah, you've gotten one of these notices in the mail saying your taxes are coming due. But this bottom line may not be what you actually have to pay. I'll tell you ways you may be able to reduce your property taxes.
Relief for millions of Americans who carry student debt. But what does loan forgiveness mean for you and why many worry about what lies ahead?
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, we're seeing stormy weather in both northern and southern Utah. Parts of southern Utah saw flash flood warnings this evening, and the Bear Lake area saw rain and hail today. And Utah's Weather Authority is tracking it all right now. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Emily Tenser, filling in for Kelly Chapman.
And I'm Bob Evans. Let's get right over to Utah's Weather Authority, Allison Krogan. Allison.
That's right. Main concern right now, Zion National Park, where we currently have 2 flash flood warnings. One for the eastern portion of the national park. This goes until 10 o'clock. And then we also have a flash flood warning specifically for the subway area in Zion until 10:30. So tracking these flash flood warnings, still have an hour to an hour and a half to go for these warnings. We do have a few showers through central Utah. No strong thunderstorms currently through Scipio, Nephi, and then into the Wasatch Front. We had some gusty wind today, got up to about 50 to 55 miles per hour for many of you. We have seen some storm reports from the wind damage in Box Elder County. There is report of at least one carport that was blown over with the strong wind gusts this afternoon. And by tomorrow morning when you wake up, we'll see some clearing for the Wasatch Front and more chances for flooding tomorrow. I'll let you know where.
All right, Allison, thank you. West Valley City Police still need your help searching for the body of a 99-year-old woman. Police believe a man murdered his grandmother last November and disposed of her body in the high Uintas.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree tells us why the family is desperate for closure in a story you'll only see here.
Shawnee Cunningham's great-grandmother was like a best friend to her.
Me and my grandmother were really close. I spent a lot of time at her house when I was a kid, every holiday. All of her 99 birthdays, I was there for all of them.
Last December, Shawnee's father, Garmin Sean Cunningham, was charged for kidnapping and murdering his grandmother.
I never thought he was capable of committing murder. He was an aggressive person, so the domestic violence I could believe, but murdering of his own grandmother was something that it took me a while to wrap my head around, especially since he loved her a lot. So that was really hard for me to understand.
West Valley City Police, as well as Summit and Wasatch County Sheriff's officers, have been searching the Uintas for months, looking for Maren Carlson's body and pink fabric from pajamas they believe she was wearing. With fall approaching, they're asking the community for help.
In the next few weeks, the hunting season will start. It will start with the archery season. It will become fall, and there will be leaves in the mountains that people want to see. And so we know that these next couple of months are going to be a time when people are in Utah's mountains.
Cunningham wants people to know how much it would mean if any sign of Maren Carlson was found.
In the last 8 months, I've buried all of my family, my father, his mother, and now I just want something to bury her and put her to rest. She is the last of that side of my family, the complete last. So even if it's something just to bury, it would mean a lot just to put closure, because that is the only thing that's holding me up.
She's hopeful that someone, somewhere, will help her bring her great-grandmother home.
I did for a little while lose hope, but it's coming back. It's like I have a feeling eventually something will come up.
In Camas, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
West Valley City Police ask that if you find anything in the mountains you think could be evidence, do not touch it. Mark your location by dropping a pin on your phone or write down your coordinates and give that to the investigators.
New body cam footage shows the moments a West Valley police officer fires his gun at a suspect from another shooting. It happened around 1 o'clock on August 7th. Police got a call that a man shot another man near Carl's Jr. The suspected gunman, later identified as 39-year-old Mitchell Halsey, was spotted by police near the indoor swap meet. That's near 1500 West and 3500 South. In the video, you can see Halsey on the store sidewalk with a handgun. It's when the officer fired their weapon.
You want to kick that gun? Okay, I'll go. Got it. Are you hit?
The part of the video that captures the shooting has no audio because the officer did not turn his camera on until after he fired. The only reason the shooting was part of the recording was because of a buffering feature. Halsey was taken to the hospital in serious condition and later released and booked into jail. The shooting is still being investigated under the officer-involved critical incident protocol. Smash and grab thefts are sadly common.
One recent victim is dedicated to helping people who find themselves in tough spots. Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee spoke to a volunteer with the Utah County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team who just had her gear stolen.
It doesn't feel like work to us. We get to spend a ton of time up in the mountains doing what we love and at the same time help other people.
Deb Yakshis found her way to the Utah County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team about 3 years ago.
I was going through some tough things in my life and I was spending a lot of time in the mountains, and I saw a couple of accidents and I felt helpless, and I wanted to find a way to be able to feel useful.
Deb was on a recent rescue call out and had some of her gear still in her vehicle earlier this week. Tuesday morning, her car was parked in the Brickyard area of Salt Lake City.
I came out to my car and my window had been broken, and they had taken a bit of my gear that I had used for the rescue.
As a volunteer, it's her own personal equipment that she spent her own money on.
They took my radio, which is my main form of communication with my team. They took my pack.
Deb estimates the setback to be roughly $1,000. Plus the damage to replace her car window. Some of the gear that was taken from Deb involved something more technical, like perhaps a climbing rescue. But there is one piece that she really wants back.
That helmet has been with me on a lot of rescues, and I'd love to get my helmet back. It's got my name on it. It's got search and rescue on it.
Without that piece of gear, she can't go out on search and rescue missions in the first place. But everything that was stolen is valuable to saving lives and bringing people back home safe.
Every single piece of gear that was taken is something that I use on every rescue.
Deb says that her team has already pitched in to help purchase new gear. Her big ask right now is for people to support the teams of volunteers who put it all on the line, all on their own time and dime to help others, which is something she loves to do.
It is a really good outlet for me to give back to my community in ways that I'm passionate about.
In Utah County, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Rising home prices and rising tax rates has a lot of homeowners seeing sticker shock when they get their property tax notices. I'll give you tips for appealing your property tax notice and maybe tell you when not to appeal it.
The state of Utah believes a public school tied to the polygamous Kingston group has been holding secret meetings. How the Fox 13 News investigative team was treated when we learned about it.
People can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt.
President Biden says he wants to help you pay off your college student loans. How Utahns are reacting to the major announcement from the White House.
All right, everybody, we excited for the Little League team coming back? Yeah! We're here in St. George as Utah's Little League team heads back to their hometown.
My first thought was that can't be right.
So I started digging a little.
We asked, could you sell it for that amount? And many of them are quiet at that point.
A rise in real estate prices and tax rates is creating sticker shock for those receiving property tax notices. But is that bottom line on your notice what you really have to pay?
Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle asked how you can lower your property taxes and how often appeals are successful.
I've got 2.5 bathrooms and 4 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet.
Paige Burhow is a retired police officer. She's lived in this ranch-style house in Riverdale since the mid-1980s.
My first thought was that can't be right.
Her property taxes are about to go up.
The timing was just yucky. You know, it was just hard hitting. Almost $800, $770.
Increase.
Yes. Nothing went down, that's for sure.
So Burhow did something she's never done before. She appealed, arguing Weber County has overvalued her house.
I was pretty confident that their evaluation was a little bit high. That was a super smooth, easy process.
Burhow got assistance.
And I was just noticing that people were complaining about how much their taxes had gone up. So I started digging a little.
From Annette Judd, a realtor in Farmington. She's been helping homeowners in Davis and Weber counties research their property values.
My estimate would be that 30 to 40% of them are overvalued.
What she came up with in her professional opinion was about $50,000 less than what the county was assessing me for.
Weber County has about 99,000 parcels, and there's no way you can perfectly assess those every year.
In Weber County, property tax assessment appeals.
But the economy's been, booming for a while.
Go to this man.
Weber County Clerk Auditor.
Ricky Hatch. What makes for a successful appeal?
Data. You want good information.
The first thing you should do is check the facts and figures on the valuation notice. Make sure numbers like lot size, square footage, and total bedrooms are all correct. Then look at your property's county market value. If you've had your real estate appraised in the last year or two, and the appraisal gives a lower value than the county, that can be your evidence in an appeal. Or you can pay for a new appraisal, or do what Burhow did.
Go to a realtor and say, hey, does this look about right? Within just a few quick searches, they should be able to give you the amount.
If you own commercial property, you might be able to challenge your valuation by arguing your real estate earns less income than similar properties. Once you have your data, look up your county's appeal process and follow it. But be careful. Sometimes counties undervalue properties, especially if you haven't reported improvements like additions.
We ask, could you sell it for that amount? And many of them are quiet at that point because they know that on the market they really could sell it for that.
Across Utah, the deadline for appealing next year's property taxes is September 15th. Last year in Davis County, 44% of completed appeals were successful. In Utah County, 56% of all appeals submitted from 2018 through 2021 were successful. In Weber County?
So 70 to 80% of those appeals actually result in some kind of adjustment.
If your property is valued accurately, there might be other ways to lower your taxes. There's abatements for disabled veterans and active duty military, blind homeowners, and low-income seniors and widows or widowers.
No one took into account the perfect storm of the huge jump in property values and huge increases in taxes.
As for the appeal Burhow filed to reduce her home valuation and lower her taxes, Monday she forwarded us a letter showing it had been denied. Now, under state law, she has 30 days to appeal the denial, but Burhow said she won't do that. Instead, she'll pay more attention to local government in 2023 and maybe appeal her 2024 assessment. In the studio, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, here across the state, tracking a few areas of thunderstorms this evening and also some wind down towards Cedar City, Ely into Price, up through the Cache Valley. Wind is gusting right now about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Here's what I want you to know. An area of high pressure has shifted off to our east. We do have a disturbance that is sliding through, bringing us some chances for storms into the overnight hours. But right now, our biggest concerns down towards the St. George area, just to your north. We have an aerial flood advisory until 10:15 for Dameron Valley, Snow Canyon State Park, and for Vail. A little further east, we have flash flood warnings for Zion National Park until 10 and 10:30 for the subway and also for eastern portions of Zion National National Park. That does include Springdale. Up through northern Utah, mainly seeing some areas of rain left. We did have some strong wind earlier today, some thunderstorm wind that was about 50 to 65 miles per hour. And for tomorrow, the southern half of Utah is going to be our best chance to see some areas of heavy rainfall. So for Salt Lake City into the overnight hours, temps 70s all night long. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, you will have that chance for some storms, mainly into the southern half and eastern half of the state tomorrow. But I think it's just always a good idea during monsoon season to be prepared in case any of those storms do develop. We've got that potential for some heavy rainfall. So Thursday, 7 a.m., about 65 to 75 degrees for Provo, Salt Lake, Eagle Mountain, Ogden, through the Cache Valley into the 50s for Park City. And then into St. George tomorrow morning, temps will be in the 70s. Tomorrow afternoon, best chance for those storms, southern, central, and eastern Utah. Could see some heavy rainfall, and temps here across the state tomorrow about 85 to 95 for a high. Let's break down those rain chances for you. For St. George, widely scattered for Thursday and Thursday night. Isolated Friday day, Saturday day, and Sunday day. And for the Ogden area, we're tracking your chance of precipitation as isolated. We'll see a little bit of a drying trend for far northern Utah on Friday and some isolated storm chances late weekend into the early part of next week. For Utah County, pretty consistent with isolated storm chances Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, widely scattered. Looks to be a bit drier into next week. And for southern Utah, mid-90s in St. George tomorrow with that chance for storms isolated by Friday at 96. And then we'll keep you around 90 to 100 for your 7-day forecast. Here in Salt Lake, we're around 90 to 95 for the next week, so we'll keep things hot, but not as hot as it was last week. We'll talk more about our rain chances here in Salt Lake, but low 90s for Salt Lake City tomorrow. Your Super 7-day forecast will break down that chance for rain here in Salt Lake City.
Thanks, Allison. Straight ahead, a big decision on student loan debt from the White House, what it means for millions of borrowers, and the wave of criticism that emerged even before the announcement.
Plus, the state of Utah sues the federal government over Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments. We'll have reaction from both sides.
The Miller family is sharing a portion of their share of the Utah Jazz. I'll tell you who's buying it and how that will benefit future sports in Utah.
Today, the state of Utah and Garfield and Kane counties sued the Biden administration over the president's executive order reinstating the boundaries of Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments.
The lawsuit basically says the monument's boundaries constitute an abuse of the president's authority under the Antiquities Act, and that the president's power is, quote, limited to reserving only the smallest area compatible with the proper care and management of the qualifying landmark, structure, or object.
We're challenging the designations of President Biden. And so we look at what he has designated and the objects that are in that. Do they qualify under the act? And we believe that most of them do not.
This should not go any further, and we should all come to an agreement and come to an understanding that we need to heal moving forward.
The state is asking for President Biden's executive order to be struck down, but they could seek to have the monument designations undone. Given how much litigation is involved, this could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Today, President Biden announced his long-awaited action on student loan forgiveness.
Here's a breakdown of what it entails. All federal student loan borrowers will have $10,000 dropped from their balance. For low-income individuals who received a Pell Grant during school, it's an additional $10,000 for a total of $20,000 dropped from their balance. This only applies to people who make less than $125,000 a year or $250,000 a year for married couples.
People can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt, to get on top of their rent and their utilities, to finally think about buying a home or starting a family or starting a business.
President Biden also announced an income-driven repayment plan. It caps the monthly payment at 5% of a borrower's income. The repayment pause has also been extended until the end of the year.
The New York Federal Reserve Bank says 324,000 Utahns owed more than $10 billion in 2021. Today's announcement should make a big dent in both of those numbers.
So Fox 13 News decided to ask some Utahns their thoughts on the president's big plan. The reactions we got were optimistic but skeptical about what lies ahead.
I think it's going to make a big difference in my life. I think the part that will have a bigger impact day to day is capping income-based repayment plans at 5%.
We're appreciative. Thank you for taking the edge off and helping us out, but we've got a long way to go to start solving problems, I think, for a lot of students.
All of Utah's congressional delegation is in opposition to the president's plan. To read their responses, go to fox13now.com. After nearly 2 years of Fox 13 News investigations, the story of a Utah school using taxpayer money on polygamous businesses takes a new turn tonight. What we've uncovered about secret meetings in the school.
We're just 3 days away from the start of college football in the state. We'll hear from Utah State as they gear up for UConn on Saturday.
And after an incredible run at the Little League World Series and the inspiring recovery of an injured teammate.
Really cool. I'm excited to see him.
The team that made Utah sports history gets a big welcome home.
I believe it was Adam Herbetz, one of the media people that have been harassing Vanguard, and he kept interrupting that meeting saying, "Is there a quorum present?"
Tonight, a Fox 13 News investigation continues into a public charter school with connections to the polygamous Kingston Group. It's a story we've been reporting on for nearly 2 years.
Hundreds of thousands of your tax dollars are being passed through Vanguard Academy in West Valley City and on to Kingston-owned businesses. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz joins us in studio tonight to explain why the state believes Vanguard is having secret meetings. Adam.
Well, Bob, Emily, there is not supposed to be anything secret about a public school. But that's what we're exposing tonight. Violations of Utah state law that the state thought were so bad they did something they've never done before, firing all 9 board members.
When people ask, they say, "Where did you go to high school?" And you're going to be able to say, "I went to Vanguard." And then people will say, "Isn't that where all of the successful individuals in the community come from?"
The students might be successful, but the state says administrators are not when it comes to following Utah law and its own bylaws.
Is the board adequately overseeing the school? And if they are, then it's not being done transparently.
Fox 13 News has been investigating Vanguard Academy for nearly 2 years, and the state has reached many of the same conclusions. It's a public school with ties to the polygamous Kingston Group that receives millions of taxpayer dollars each year. At least hundreds of thousands are being spent on businesses owned by their family members.
I don't know how you would do the public's business in secret. The public's business is not secret.
The way they spend your money is public, and the meetings are supposed to be too. Last October, at this meeting, nobody would talk to us. Then watch what happened when we tried to go to this public meeting in April. All we found was the school's director sitting in his office behind a laptop. Everyone else was who knows where, online. Most of them with their cameras off. In some cases, multiple voices coming from the same computer. We sat quietly and waited. These are the meetings where they're supposed to make critical decisions that affect students, how they spend taxpayer money. For example, the state found last year Vanguard spent more than 14 times the average public school on its meals. As we've reported, Premier Catering and Food Service, the school's vendor, has direct ties to the Kingston Group.
Darren just barely joined.
Hello. According to Utah law, you cannot have a public meeting unless you have the majority of your board present. Vanguard's own bylaws say they need 2/3. I asked why they were meeting anyway, and at the time, we gave them the benefit of the doubt.
Kent, there's a comment in the chat on the Zoom meeting.
Sorry for the confusion. Who are the individuals who make up the quorum? Here's how Grace Mitchell described our question. She's one of the prophet's wives.
I believe it was Adam Herbetz, one of the media people that have been harassing Vanguard. And he kept interrupting that meeting saying, is there a quorum present?
I do not agree with all of the representations that Vanguard was making in that instance.
The state says that meeting was improper and not transparent. One of the reasons they removed all 9 board members.
The fact that you get asked questions during a public meeting, that wouldn't seem to be harassment. Taking in public comment and answering those questions is the job. It's a big part of the job. I noticed that they kept saying, well, we didn't know. We're doing our best. We just didn't know how to do this. And how long has this school been open? 7 years?
It's not the first time the group has been upset with us for asking questions at a public meeting.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
In May, they published this article. Fox 13 and Adam Herbetz continue a pattern of false and hateful reporting. They referred to the experts we've interviewed as bigoted toward polygamists and argued there are no conflicts of interest. Fox 13 has never seen a parent or student attend or ask questions at a public meeting.
Where are they in this school? Where is the public comment from the families at this school? Isn't it concerning that there's no one? How is it so silent?
The state also found a secret so-called emergency meeting in February that was not advertised properly for people to attend and wasn't recorded except for the first 2 minutes. It's the meeting where they decided to remove their previous director, Suzanne Owen, after we caught her saying this about her involvement with the Kingston Group.
Well, I've heard of them, yeah.
But you're not familiar with it?
No. This, like I say, this is a public charter school.
It was so hard for me not to laugh. It's a well-known fact that Suzanne is married to Hiram Kingston, which is the leader's brother.
On Monday, Vanguard Academy said it was willing to undergo more training to learn how to follow Utah law. Now that's a moot point, since each one of those board members will be gone by next month. The state will be the ones choosing the replacements. Live in studio tonight, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Adam, thank you. Tonight, we've learned that one of the 2 Moab police officers who responded to the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie incident last year has been reassigned. Officer Eric Pratt, the senior officer on scene, is now a detective. He's also been appointed as a school resource officer for the Helen M. Knight Elementary School. Earlier this month, Petito's parents and step-parents announced their intention to sue Moab police for $50 million.
After never-before-seen floods swept through downtown Moab, many businesses are rushing to get back on their feet before peak tourist season. Take a look at these pictures of the Bowen Motel. This is the aftermath of Saturday night's flooding from Mill Creek. Owner Tyson Lesmeister says 17 of their rooms were covered in mud and water, and also including a few of their basements, which house linens, products, and storage. He's guessing this flood will cost them over $40,000 in damages.
By the time I got the phone call, it was pretty much all done. And my on-call personnel and myself, we were down here inside of 15 minutes. And at that point, it was just too late.
Although flooding is never ideal, he says the timing is acceptable. September is one of their busiest months of the year, and with the help of volunteers, they hope to be back in full swing by next week in time for Labor Day weekend.
A judge has ordered the 15-year-old suspect in a shooting that left 2 West Valley City teens dead back in January to stand trial. 14-year-old Tivani Lopati and 15-year-old Paul Tahi were killed near Hunter High School. 15-year-old Ephraim Asiata was critically wounded. Defense attorneys will argue their client only fired at the victims in self-defense. That's coming up in October.
It's been almost 4 years since Provo Master Officer Joseph Shinners was shot and killed in the line of duty. Today, a touching show of support for his family. Provo police officers walked Master Officer Shinners' son, Logan, to his first day of school. Provo PD posted on social media, quote, "His family is our family."
Coming up, a 9-year-old Eagle Mountain boy continues to recover after being pulled from a submerged truck in a Utah reservoir. We'll have an update from the boy's family on his progress.
And today marks 31 years since Ukraine officially became independent. But it also marks 6 months since the Russian invasion. What community members say about this bittersweet day.
Tonight, the family of a 9-year-old Eagle Mountain boy saved from a Summit County reservoir is calling his recovery a miracle. Kelly Carpenter says 2 days ago her nephew Paxton was at Smith and Morehouse Reservoir with other family members when their pickup truck somehow rolled into the water. 2 other children in the truck got out safely. A kayaker nearby was finally able to get Paxton out of the truck after 10 minutes. Paxton is now on life support in the ICU at Primary Children's Hospital, but Carpenter says he is making progress after doctors did not expect him to survive.
Every time I spoke to him, he responded to me, whether that be squeezing my hand, shaking his head yes. He was mouthing the words mom and mommy.
Carpenter says the family set up an account to help him, help Paxton at Mountain America Credit Union and through Venmo. We have that information on our website, fox13now.com.
31 years ago, Ukrainian leaders signed their country's Declaration of Independence. But Ukrainians today say they're fighting for that freedom all over again, because today also marks exactly 6 months since the Russian invasion. Local activists and community groups have been working to help people in Ukraine move to the U.S. to start a new life. Vlada Yaremenko is one of them. She is from Ukraine and says the war is painful to watch as she still has close family back at home. And on a day like today, she says her country's will to be free is as prominent as ever.
And it's heartbreaking that, you know, another country can just come in and decide that we just want to kill you for no reason, you know. So it's really painful, but I'm still grateful that we have the opportunity to fight for our freedom, and our people are so strong and they keep fighting.
Yaremenko adds that she is thankful for the Utah community's support during these trying times. She hopes people don't forget that there is a war going on halfway across the world.
Still ahead, the first team from the Beehive State to ever make it to the Little League World Series is finally back home. We catch up with the team as they return to Southern Utah.
And coming up in sports, the Aggies face a lot of unknowns when they host UConn this Saturday. But head coach Blake Anderson, that's the old coach, tell us how they're preparing for the Huskies. And the Miller family is selling a portion of their minority stake in the Utah Jazz with an eye on expanding professional sports in Utah.
The St. George Airport was full of excitement today as the plane carrying Utah's first ever Little League World Series team arrived home.
Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph was there as the team was welcomed back and captured the moment Easton Oliverson, still in the hospital in Pennsylvania, was able to be a part of it.
We're so proud of these guys. They did awesome.
It's just exciting. The community's proud of them. The next month is going to be a lot of celebration for them.
It's a homecoming for the hometown heroes. With balloons and signs, the St. George Airport welcomed home Utah's Little League World Series team, the first to ever make it.
We're little. We had, I think, 68 total Little League players.
But his excitement lit up the faces of those eagerly awaiting their All-Stars. Everyone's thoughts and prayers turned to the one member of the team who hasn't been able to come home yet, Easton Oliverson.
The boy had a 0% chance of survival, and for him to be where he's at now, it's unbelievable.
This is Jace, Easton's dad and a coach of the team.
I want to be happy and joyous and celebrate this occasion, but it's also hard because knowing that they're there by themselves now and we're not able to be there with them.
But in a way, Easton still got to experience it. His dad FaceTiming him across the country so he could still be a part of the homecoming.
He's pretty sad right now because he understands that everybody's home, but when push comes to shove, I'm just grateful for my Heavenly Father, my Savior, for having him here with us.
Well, I love you, bud.
But from Easton to his little brother Brogan, who played in his place, to every other member of the team, their accomplishments in the face of adversity were something to be proud of.
They have lived up to every expectations. They've earned everything that they've gotten and more.
Which is why
really cool. I'm excited to see him. It's fun. It's really fun to see them again because we haven't seen them in a really long time.
across town. Are you excited to see them?
Yeah.
Why are you excited to see them?
I like them. I like them.
You like them? They got a hero's welcome.
That was really cool to see them on ESPN.
Loading up on fire trucks and heading through the town of Santa Clara. So the big question, will lightning strike twice and the team head back again next year?
There's going to be a lot of work. It takes a lot to get to where we were. I mean, first time in 75 years for the state of Utah.
But for now, the town, nation, and state are cheering on Utah's Little League heroes. And it's something they won't soon forget. As you can see, there's a lot of fans of Utah still here. And the big question is, are they going to make it again next year? What do we think?
Yeah!
In St. George, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Oh, we are so proud of them, and we're so glad that Easton is doing so well. They say he's doing amazing, and his road to recovery is quicker than anybody expected.
He is scheduled to undergo a procedure early next week, and after that will be brought back to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City.
Well, here across the state, a few things that we're watching weather-wise. Across northern Utah, a few areas of light rain. We did have some strong areas of wind gusts that moved through earlier this evening. But right now, the primary concerns for weather, we do have a flood advisory up towards Vail, just north of St. George near Snow Canyon. And as we look over towards Zion National Park for the subway and the eastern portion of the park, flash flood warnings until 10 and 10:30 respectively. Across the rest of southern Utah, fairly dry conditions, a little bit of rain up through Torrey, Capitol Reef, Loa, approaching I-70. But what we're expecting into the overnight hours is mainly going to be some clearing for clouds across northern Utah. So 60s and 70s when you wake up along the Wasatch Front. And then a few chances for rain into the early part of tomorrow morning near the Arizona border. But things will ramp up again into tomorrow afternoon. Salt Lake tomorrow 92, Ogden 93, Provo 91. We've got a chance for some isolated storms here along the Wasatch Front, but we're mainly drying out across far northern Utah into Friday. For Cedar City 80 tomorrow, 82 for Richfield, St. George 94 degrees. And for eastern Utah, Moab 90 just about, Price 84. And for the Uinta Basin, close to 85 to 90 tomorrow. Flash flood potential is listed as probable for every single recreation area tomorrow. So please be aware of this. This means some slot canyons, dry washes, and small streams are expected to experience flash flooding. Me personally, I would never go out into a slot canyon with a rating like probable, and we're going to have that chance for some heavy rainfall. So morning hours, less of a chance for thunderstorms, but recent burn scars, normally dry washes, slot canyons, those are always our biggest concern with flash flooding during monsoon season. Now for St. George, you're in the mid-90s for most of your 7-day forecast. We'll keep you close to 100 degrees by next Wednesday. Here in Salt Lake, let's talk about a couple of things. First, let's talk about air quality. Over the next couple of days, unhealthy for sensitive groups for Thursday and Friday for the Salt Lake Valley. It'll also be breezy for Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow, 92. By end of the weekend into next week, let's talk about our chances for rain. We're tracking isolated storm chances Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday here in Salt Lake City. You're close to 90 degrees through your entire 7-day forecast.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, the Uvalde School Board has unanimously voted to fire Police Chief Pete Arredondo after residents demanded his dismissal. He was accused of hesitating to respond during the May massacre at Robb Elementary School. Arredondo says he was not the on-scene commander the day of the shooting, but body camera video shows he was present and active that day.
The Miller family announced it is selling a portion of its minority ownership of the Utah Jazz while affirming its commitment to the advancement of sports and entertainment in the state. A statement from the Miller family and the Larry H. Miller Company says, "We have treasured our stewardship of the franchise and remain strong supporters of the team and its place in our community. Our family and the Larry H. Miller Company are excited about and committed to the advancement of sports and entertainment in this great state." After owning the Jazz for 35 years, the Millers family sold 80% of the Jazz to a group led by Ryan Smith in 2020. The shares they are selling now will go to Arctos Sports Partners. Smith Entertainment Group announced the deal with Arctos last week with the plan to bring a third major professional sports franchise to Utah to join the Jazz and Real Salt Lake. The Miller family also said they're proud to continue their ownership of the Salt Lake Bees, who were delayed on an hour tonight due to rain. Bees starter Adam Seminara stranded a couple of base runners in the first, getting the strikeout for the third out. Then the bottom half, Tacoma recorded 2 quick outs before Salt Lake rolled off 5 consecutive hits. Jake Gatewood down the line, scoring Michael Stefanik. Then Jose Gomez goes off the wall in right center field for a 2-run triple, all part of a 4-run first. Orlando Martinez also with an RBI as well. Gatewood added a home run in the 5th. He's 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs. The Bees lead at 8-2 in the 7th inning. Utah State will kick off the season this Saturday at home against UConn, a team with a lot of question marks. Jim Moore is the new head coach of the Huskies. He's got a lot of coaching experience, but he has a big task turning the program around that went just 1-11 last season.
I just have to assume that if we can go from 1-5 to 11-3, so can anybody else. And I know they've got anywhere from 10 to 15 transfer players in the 2 deep on their roster. We have to expect the best team we're going to see all season. And I know that's saying a lot because there's some great teams on the roster, but we play them one at a time. And you got a great coach staff with a lot of years under their belt, and they have the ability to come in and affect their roster just like we did. We don't want to look past anything other than the first game, what we can do, and respect the fact that they're going to come in and play lights out.
We'll be right back.
Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
QuickCast is up next.